It's Adam here from Osprey Project Consulting, doing a YouTube Live, our second YouTube Live. A couple of reasons why we've been doing these last couple of weeks was to basically give folks studying for the PMP an opportunity to ask me a couple of questions, throw me off my stool if you'd like, and prep yourself up for the PMP exam. So I've been an authorized training provider through my employer for about the last 3 years now. So I've trained, I couldn't tell you how many classes, quite a few. Yeah, it's basically been a full-time gig teaching the PMP course to folks and getting folks ready for PMP training. So if you're looking for some study tips or if you want to go through some concepts, now's the time. I'm not sure what I'm going to call this yet, if it's, office hours or, professor time or whatever you want to call it. But basically just trying to give folks an opportunity to ask some questions and learn as they wish. I've also taught the CAPM exams, or CAPM exam prep course, I should say. So yeah, if you're wanting to get some exposure into what those exams look like or prep work for those, more than happy to. Yeah, so love projects, love project management. It's a super chaotic career to be in. And like these days, it's a bloodbath out there. You've got a lot of folks in both the public and private sector being let go for a whole bunch of different reasons. Advances in technology and, overspend by government orgs, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a lot of folks in the project management space will be looking for or are currently looking for new positions or some way to stand out from the herd, if you will. So yeah, that's getting a certification or an education in project management stuff, CAPM, PMP, PM fundamentals, whatever. Those are the best ways to kind of get yourself more insulated in times like this, where we've got a lot of layoffs, forecasted or coming. Yeah, so it's been an interesting couple of months for folks, I think. A lot of good, talented folks are, needing to take a step back and evaluate their careers and whatnot. So I think for many folks, it's going to be a proactive or good thing where you're being forced to change. But again, being that forced change through layoffs and that kind of thing, best way to insulate yourself or find that next position is going to be some kind of a marketable cert behind your name. And again, if you're a PM, it's going to be that PMP or CAPM or Prince 2 if you're in Europe, etc. Hey Sigma, how's it going? Thanks for joining. We're basically doing office hours. So I'm a PMP ATP instructor, helping folks get ready for CAPM or PMP prep courses. So hopefully getting y'all ready to get clarity on PMP concepts. So what I'm doing here is basically doing lives where I can help folks who are studying for the PMP. You can throw questions at me, I can explain it, or you can go through some questions, that kind of thing. I'm looking to do these maybe once or twice a week just to get folks ready to pass the PMP. I've been a teacher of PMP prep courses for a long bloody time now. So yeah, just trying to give back a little bit to folks and help them out with the market these days in the project space, which is dire. Lots of folks getting laid off, getting let go, etc. So I'm trying to make sure folks have some certifications behind their names and some education and training that can help them move forward. So Sigma or Santush, Freya, if you all have any questions, let me know. I can help you with your PMP or CAPM stuff. Or if you want to just, what does a project manager do? I can go through that with you as well. PMs at a high level, a whole bunch of shit. It kind of depends. Sometimes they're a one-man band or one-person band, and sometimes they're leaders of people. It really depends on what's going on in the org. But yeah, it's definitely a stressful career. It's definitely a career path for folks who love change and can kind of thrive in complicated or complex environments. So like the more willing you are to be in ambiguous or unknown spaces, the more success you'll have as a project manager. Yeah, a lot of unknowns effectively in the role. A lot of folks look at project management like it's a science, or like there's some steps that you have to follow. There's some guidelines, of course, or best practices, but yeah, it's it's really contextually dependent. The PMI puts forward the base standards that we like to follow, but how you choose to implement them really is scaled to your project. Hey Frost, so we're doing, I'm a authorized training provider with my employer, and I run a consulting firm as well. I'm helping getting folks trained up, or sorry, prepared for CAPM or PMP exams or project management professional exams. So if you're studying for those things and you're a PM or project manager, now I can help you out with any of the questions or concepts you might have. I might throw up a couple of questions on screen, or at least read them out for you so you guys can get exposure to PMP exam questions. Am I a businessman? Yes, I guess. I never considered it as a term, but yeah. So I am a bit of an entrepreneur. My wife and I own a floral company that's been around for just about 6 years in the US and in Canada, and I'm a project manager. I run a consulting firm here in Canada, in Victoria, BC. And I also, I work for our provincial health authorities out here as well. So I do, kind of a lot of stuff, I suppose. But thank you. I've never thought of myself as a businessman. Frost, are you a PM? Are you a businessman? How long have I been doing business for? So basically, I've been running my own businesses for about 6 years, and have been in business as like a project manager for 14 years. Or 15 years, 14 years. It's basically what I know best. So as a PM, you know a little bit about everything. So you know lots about, or a little bit about finance, marketing, accounting, engineering, putting things together, leading people, etc. So like PM skill sets really translate well if you're looking to get, starting up your own business or being a little bit entrepreneurial. Yeah. Yeah, it's a long time. I've lost my hair. That's how stressful it is, or at least how long I've been in it. Frost, are you a PM or as well? Are you looking to get into the industry? Hopefully so. If you like change or like struggle some things, or every day where there's something new, we have project management as a whole. A lot of bit of a contraction. So like IMIT is contracting a bit. Tech industries, I'd imagine, soon to follow would be some construction stuff with like economic changes throughout North America here. But it's an industry that's not going to go away anytime soon. It's going to be there for a while. It's just going to change and contract, and that's why I'm trying to do this, is to like get you all ready for, get you some jobs. And certifications is one of the easiest ways to stand out on a job resume stack, even if you don't have a whole lot of experience. And that's also something as well for folks who are looking to get into projects. There's no path to it. Most folks just kind of fall into it and realize, oh shit, I've been doing project stuff for 5 years, but I was never called a PM. I was a lead, or I did things off the side of my desk, etc. But once you start trying to formalize your education and experience in projects or project management, you start to really see how integrated through all businesses and all companies project management really is. I don't have a vast amount of wealth, thank you. At least I don't consider it anyhow. What part of business do I work in? So I work in, as I have been around for a long time, in like a bunch of different industries. So I started off in construction. A lot of folks get into project management from construction to begin with. There's a high amount of turnover and whatnot in that industry. But I started off in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which is like Canada's Texas. So I was doing oil and gas construction projects, piping modules, that kind of thing, for insulation and cladding. So I was an estimator to start, and then I did once I was awarded a project, I'd manage that, and I'd go on there as well. And then I did environmental consulting for pipelines. So I worked with a company called CH2M Hill, which is now Jacobs. They're a engineering, or an EPCM, engineering, procurement, and construction management firm based out of the States. And my scope of work was the environment and nuclear markets, so making sure that pipelines in Canada were safe and weren't impacting natural resources. So I did projects in that regard. I don't have an education in biology or anything like that, but the project management discipline can cut through formalized trades. Managing projects is, you don't need to be a scientist to run a science-based project. It certainly helps, but it's not a requirement. You need to be able to manage all the stuff to make sure it gets done. So I did that for a spell, and then I moved into IMIT, or Information Management Technology. So I moved to the provincial government in BC, working on natural resource projects in the mining industry. Then I moved to our Attorney General, doing casino-based anti-money laundering projects with various regulators, and anti-money laundering in the real estate and luxury goods sectors. So I did that for a while. moved into, I was as a senior project manager or portfolio manager there. And then I moved into the healthcare industry in 2020, right before COVID, which was like a brutal decision. But did COVID vaccine rollouts, and then I've been IT projects in the medical space for quite a few years as well. Now, training. So I've been, if you're a PM, you can cut through a whole bunch of industries as long as you've got some motivation. And then, now I also work in consulting, so education space, consulting on projects as well, because I've got some, agile experience and predictive experience. So it allows you to move around a whole bunch. What's my main goal? Well, for this live, my main goal is to answer as many questions as I can, and then get your feedback on CAPM, PMP questions, chit chat about your experiences, or just chat about stuff. My experiences, or my goal in business as a consultant, is to deliver measurable value. I've struggled seeing some projects in the last since 2016 or so in my province where they're not really measurable. There's not a whole lot of value add, or they go way over budget. So I'm trying to help that a bit. I'm also trying to set up a space for folks to get education and training to deal with the layoffs that are happening in Canada and in the world broadly, and kind of build up the project management education and capacity so that folks realize, hey, this is a kick-ass career. If you want to get into it, you can get into it. Don't be steered away by just not having a PEng or not having a RP buy or whatever. Adele, you're a supply chain management student in Saskatoon. Nice. And you want to work in Calgary. What's your advice? Okay, so in Calgary was the best place to find a job a couple of years ago. I haven't been in Calgary since 2015. But if you're already on the prairies and you have some supply chain stuff, you're going to want to be looking at the construction industry or the oil and gas industry and the oil and gas construction industry. There's a whole bunch of opportunities there, especially with somebody with a supply chain background. Calgary's got Amazon headquarters. They've got headquarters of all of the Canadian pipeline companies. So tremendous opportunities there. We've got shipping industries, shipping headquarters, like Bison Transport has a whole bunch out there, and I believe they're in Saskatoon as well. So I'd kind of focus on those industries, like the oil and gas based stuff. If you're trying to get there from where you're at in Saskatoon, joining some networking organizations would be sweet. So if you're a member of the PMI, I'd suggest doing it. Check out some LinkedIn groups for job hunters or job seekers in the area. At the end of the day, the easiest way to get into any industry or any job is through networking and just kind of knowing some folks. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone or go through your LinkedIn and say, hey, we went to school, or I know your cousin or whatever. What do you know? And approaching those conversations, not give me a job or help me out, but more from a place of curiosity, asking the exact same question that you did. How do I get in there? It's been a while since I've been in there. I have some connections in the oil and gas industry, but maybe you can message me offline and we can chat about that particularly. Otherwise, go on LinkedIn and start kind of hunting for folks. Don't be afraid to cold call. One of the best conversations I had early in my leadership career was somebody fresh out of university wanting to ask for some mentorship stuff, and from that we were able to connect, virtual coffees, etc., and they were ultimately able to get a job where I worked in the provincial government. So it's really helpful in that regard. My mic is cracking. Might want to check it for the sake of everyone. Oh, thank you. Put a marker in your career and you flip back. If some notable achievements in your field, you'd say some cool things I would want to look back on. I've done a lot of cool projects. So COVID-19 vaccine rollouts, I think that's always going to be something I'm going to look back on as that was intense piece of my career. Just the scale of it, and the political climate at the time was very intense as well. So doing something like that, I think is going to have kind of ripple effects, positive, whatever, in my career. Other things that I look back on and I'm very stoked on career-wise, exclusive of life. I got to do some archaeology work in Alberta, so working with First Nations on an archaeological dig on pipelines. So super cool experience getting to see traditional land use and traditional ways of being through First Nations partners. So the smudging ceremonies and seeing some of the tools that they actually used 2,000 years ago. And that's like a view that I normally wouldn't have gotten. I'm not an archaeologist, but it was just such a cool experience. That and I got to take a seaplane one day from where I live in Victoria to Vancouver and do a facilitation thing with some of the casino CEOs and VPs out where I live, which was also just cool because I got to fly on a plane and for a day, so it was just super neat. Daswar, send me a message or add me on LinkedIn as well if you want to chat about how to get to where you're looking at for someone with a supply chain background. If you're still on the call, I'm just thinking about it now. So my brother was in supply chain. He worked at Coca-Cola. They've got a big headquarter out there. And they also have a lot of pharmaceutical stuff. So Cole and Frisch is another company that you'd probably want to look at if you're doing some supply chain stuff. But your background, or at least your education, looking to move to Calgary, yeah, you're going to have the pick of the litter. You just might want to find the industries to target and start putting yourself out there. But thank you for the questions. That was awesome. Super cool. Okay, well, we're about 16 or so minutes into it. If you want to get some PMP exam prep stuff, if you want to ask me some questions, I'm totally down for it. Maybe I can throw a couple questions out to you here. So I'm going to throw it on the screen perhaps. So a project team is reviewing a budget early in the project and is surprised at the great cost variances. At the next retrospective, the team focuses on budget problem and determines the current funding will be insufficient because all vendors have significantly increased their prices. What should the team do next? Activate and spend contingency amount, approach management for release of reserves, determine the EAC and seek approval, or issue a new request for proposal. In chat, if you want to take a guess at what you think the correct answer is, hopefully you all can see this. But this is a PMP question that you'd find. This is pretty common style question that you'd find in the PMP. Let me know in chat what you think the correct answer is, and I'll go through it with you in a sec, and then we'll wrap this call up because I do have to head back to work. I'm just taking a quick break here. So what do you think, A, B, C, or D? Hopefully we got some questions in chat. None yet. So I'll do it with you just live then. So the correct answer here is going to be C, determine EAC and seek approval. If you're studying for the PMP, there's a few things you have to be aware of. Number one, contingency and management reserves. You can't touch those things. So unless there's an identified risk that has money associated with it. So for A, you could only use a contingency if you'd identified this as a previous risk and allocated some money to it. Using the management reserve or approaching management to use management reserves, not a good call because management controls that themselves. They have their own processes. You as a PM wouldn't see it. You could try to ask for it, but it's not the best thing or the first thing you should do. Issuing a new RFP that includes a cost limit, that's going to burn some bridges with folks in your industry for sure, because you're basically saying this is the max that you can spend. I'm telling you, how much I'm willing to pay. And based on the question here, you're early in the project. It's entirely possible that in order to do this, you're ripping up existing contracts with folks. So you could be pissing off some folks in your industry that could have really bad ripple effects for you long term. So determining the EAC, or how much is this issue actually going to cost at the end of the project, that's the most pragmatic. And because seeking approval is just so broad in its definition, it makes the most sense here. You could be seeking approval to use contingency. You could be seeking approval to pause or cancel the project, what have you. But the first thing you should do in this situation is figure out how much is this going to cost and start asking around. So hopefully you got this question right. We'll go over more PMP questions, and if you follow us on Osprey Project Consulting, you'll see more PMP exam prep questions as well to get you ready for that exam. So thanks for watching. I think we're going to wrap it there, but if you want to see more of this content, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Osprey Project Consulting. Like and subscribe, or find us on LinkedIn, and that's probably the fastest way for me to interact with you and help you out with any of the questions that you got. And our website, just as a quick plug, is coming in early September, so you can what we're going to do there is formalize this kind of approach of career mentorship with projects, and you'll be able to join a community of practice effectively, or a COP, via the Osprey Consulting space. So let's wrap it there, folks. Thanks so much for your time. Good luck on your studies for the PMP. Thanks for joining today. It was fun. And we'll look to go over some more PMP questions next time. So see y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.